Alright guys, Script here with another video, and this one is... This is not me trying to make fun of these guys, although it is pretty funny, but I think this is sort of a really clear illustration of the reach. And what I mean is, so you've got the accusation for a lot of these people that they're just like Disney shills, right? So they just say everything that they do is good just because they're trying to get in the club and they want to be like Star Wars Explained and be invited to events and get free crap in the mail. And so these are the guys that are like the tier underneath those people. So these guys have followings, but they're not nearly as big. And so they're trying to work their way to being those people. That's at least what it seems like. And you get a lot of, at least with Jacob, who's going to be on the right here. He blocked me on Twitter. Fine, whatever. It's just whatever. But it's just funny because, you know, these are the guys that'll be like, this was one of the best Star Wars whatevers ever, like duels ever, or something like that, or scenes, or whatever. That, and of course, it always pertains to something from Disney. And then you'll say, well, why is that? And they have no explanation. They have no explanation, and then eventually they just block you because they're shilling. They don't actually believe what they're saying, in my opinion. I don't think he believes what he's saying. I don't think this other guy believes what he's saying. I don't even really know who this guy even is. Who is this guy? The Dyad in the Force. Okay, so this is the Dyad in the Force podcast. Like I said, see, he's got a decent following, and he wants to reach that next level. That's my opinion. I don't know for sure, but based on what I'm seeing. Anyway, so they don't explain things. Boy, I thought he'd have more views than that. What the? No way, this can't be real. This is the guy's... What? How does he get so little views when he's got... How does he have 14,000 subs and he's getting this kind of views? I get way more views and I have less than half of what he has. That's weird. Anyways, whatever. I don't want to pick on the guy, but my whole point is that they don't have to explain. They don't explain themselves. They don't explain the reason why they think what they think about things. And so here you have a situation where now they're interacting with a live chat, and they're having to explain, and having to, and again, I don't want to pick on this guy. I don't know. Maybe in some of his videos he does like explain certain things. I'm sorry. You are not a fan if you celebrate your fandom's failure. I gotta check out some of this guy's videos now. This is too funny. The Force does not require training. So this is very... Like, this is insane. The Force doesn't require training. Well, I guess not anymore if you're a shill, right? Are Star Wars fans more entitled today? This is hilarious. I would love to have a sit down with this guy. Wow. Why frame-by-frame fight analysis is ruining your fiction. I did a video about the fight in The Acolyte. I didn't go frame by frame. I just make fun of it because it's funny. You don't have to go frame by frame. You can just watch it. It's totally stupid. That's why I don't do 7-on-1, because it's the one is always going to get... There's going to be openings to hit him at some point no matter what you do. That's why you don't do that. Anyway, that's funny. Some of these are funny. I'm just trying to understand how this guy doesn't have more subs, like, or more views. Like, he's got... It just doesn't make any sense. Like, this video has 371 views, and he's got 14,000 subs. Does this mean his channel's dying? Is that what that means? Is his channel dying? I don't know. Anyways, let's listen to this. This is hilarious, and this is both... This is hilarious, because again, they don't typically explain themselves. Maybe this guy does. But this is just a riot. And there's Jacob there. So anyway, I apologize for the poor quality. This is the best I could do. I got it off Twitter. Sorry. That's the way it is.
He says, no disrespect to the people who like Rise of Skywalker, but when she holds up the dagger to the Death Star wreckage, that was too much for me.
So somebody said it was too much for him. that she held up the dagger to the Death Star. And it was stupid. The whole movie is a fetch quest video game with like 15 MacGuffins. That's the whole film. It's her going around collecting things to move on to the next level. It's literally a video game. It's a fetch quest video game. It's terrible. Why was the Death Star wreckage even there? That's the part about this that's so funny. Is we're sitting here, these guys are sitting here discussing this dagger. And look at his face. Look at his face. Because he knows he's got to answer this guy, and he doesn't know what to do, because he's like, oh, yeah, that was awful, but I have to pretend it was good. Like, this discussion shouldn't even be happening, because the Death Star absolutely exploded everywhere. Like, it's gone. There was no giant pieces, that flew off. None of that. And you could look back and say, well, it's too bad they didn't do that, but they didn't do that, so you can't have the wreckage there. It, exploded. We see it on screen. There's no giant pieces. And in The Rise of Skywalker, it's not like it's just a giant piece. It's like a huge cross-section. It's like a quarter of it. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm very inspired by Rodney Matthews' art, and it looks very Rodney Matthews. The Death Star wreckage and just the whole look of it is cool. I have no problem with that. But you can't do that, though. But because we saw it explode and there was no giant pieces. There just wasn't. Anyway, so she finds this stupid dagger that somehow points to the throne room where you go and find the Wayfinder, right? And then you find the Wayfinder, and then you go on to the next level. Then you defeat the boss, you defeat Kylo, then you move on to the next level. You go to Exegol. Anyways, look at his face. Look at his face. So we shouldn't even be worrying about the dagger. We should be worrying about the fact that there's even a Death Star wreckage. It's stupid. But see, now he's got to answer, and this is where it gets really funny. So he's going to try really hard to give an explanation for why it's okay that Rey has to find this stupid dagger, and that this stupid dagger somehow points to the throne room if you hold it in the exact same position, even though, there's waves, things move. It's so stupid, it's beyond comprehension. But anyways, listen to what he says, and of course it's an attack on the OT.
It is certainly one of those MacGuffins, but...
And look at Jacob, he's like, how's he going to answer? What are you going to do? What are you going to say, man?
At the end of the day, it's almost as MacGuffin as,
Here we go, see? And look at Jacob's face. He said Luke, and even Jacob, who's desperate to start getting that merch in the mail and desperate to get those tickets to the premieres. Even he's like, Luke? Look at his one eyebrow is a little bit raised up. He's like, because they know they're full of crap, guys. They know they are. And this guy can't just say, he can't be a normal human being and just say, yeah, the dagger's dumb. I enjoy The Rise of Skywalker, but the dagger is stupid. He just can't do it. He can't just come out and be honest and say it's stupid. I don't get it. So let's see what he has to say here about Luke apparently having the equivalent of some random dagger that somehow fits perfectly into the shape of the ruined Death Star wreckage that shouldn't even be there anyway, that somehow points to the throne room, that somehow has the way... See what Luke did that's the same.
It's almost as MacGuffin as, Luke pulling the lightsaber to survive from the Wampa, only to see a spirit of Obi-Wan that leads him to Dagobah. And at that time, pulling lightsabers wasn't a thing. At that time, ghosts weren't a thing. And at that time, Yoda wasn't a thing.
Luke pulling the lightsaber to survive from the Wampa. What are you talking about, bro? Oh man, even Jacob knows this is pitiful. Even look at his face. Look at it. Look at his face. Wow.
Pulling the lightsaber to survive from the Wampa, only to see a spirit of Obi-Wan that leads him to Dagobah. And at that time, pulling lightsabers wasn't a thing. At that time, ghosts weren't a thing. And at that time, Yoda wasn't a thing.
Is this guy for real? None of it was a thing. can't believe these guys. Just admit that it was stupid, bro. Just admit it. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you jumping through these hoops? There was nothing. He pulls the lightsaber out, defends himself with it, and then sees Obi-Wan's Force Ghost. Yeah, that's because that had never happened before, because we're talking about the second film. Yeah, it's new. Just like everything was new. The whole thing's new. It's new. There was nothing else before it, except for the first one, Star Wars. So yeah, you're building on Luke's. These guys, I can't even.
And at that time, Yoda wasn't a thing.
Look, he doesn't even believe it. Like, at that time, Yoda wasn't even a thing. What is he even saying? I'm sorry, guys. This is too good. This is gold. This is precious gold.
So it's kind of like that huge MacGuffin is what makes the camp of Star Wars. You know?
That's not a MacGuffin, bruh. What's wrong with you, bro? What are you talking about? Luke does this thing a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. He uses it in Empire, right? When he's fighting Vader, he does the force pull to pull his lightsaber towards himself to defend himself against Vader. And then he does it again in Jedi when he goes to attempt to kill the Emperor. That's not a MacGuffin, bro. That's just that's an ability he has now, because he's progressing in his Jedi-ness. I don't think these guys know what a MacGuffin is. That's not a MacGuffin. No, the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan is not a MacGuffin. He appears multiple times and speaks to Luke multiple times. What are these guys talking about?
And at that time, pulling lightsabers wasn't a thing. At that time, ghosts weren't a thing. And at that time, Yoda wasn't a thing. So it's kind of like that huge MacGuffin is what makes the camp of Star Wars. You know?
Like, this is beyond words, guys. And the thing that's so crazy about the Shills, and this goes to all of them, is that they have this thing where they have to make things up, make up lies, and put down the original trilogy to attempt to lift up the Disney Star Wars stuff and the sequels. A MacGuffin is an object that is used to keep the plot moving. And in the case of Rey, she goes and finds the dagger, and then it's used, and then it's done. There's no need for it anymore. She now used the MacGuffin to find out where the throne room was that had no stairs and didn't even look like the throne room, which is a whole other topic, and found the Wayfinder. And guess what happens to the dagger after that? It ceases to exist in the story. Luke's lightsaber is his weapon, and he carries it with him everywhere. What are you talking about? So they have to pretend that the OT featured these stupid ideas, these MacGuffins, to try and justify the garbage sequels. And what's amazing about this video is that you can see in his face, he's not believing what he's saying. He's thinking, I don't know, and trying to make something up. And you can just see that they're just fakers. They're just completely fake. He knows full well. Again, look at his face. Upon getting the question, he's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And I can't imagine living life like this where you just lie to yourself to try and have a career. I don't get it. I don't get that at all. Like, bro, just say it's a MacGuffin and it's unfortunate, and I agree with you that sucked. I still like the movie and I like this, whatever. But these guys have to say everything is awesome. Everything they do is amazing. Everything's great. It's not great. Like, there's people that adore the OT, but they will openly say they weren't a fan of the Ewoks. But they still love the movies. They still love even Return of the Jedi. They just don't really like the Ewoks. But they like what ends up happening, and Luke's arc and Anakin's arc overshadows the Ewoks for them. But they don't sit there and say, the Ewoks were amazing. Nah. But these guys, everything has to be amazing, so then they have to make up lies and smear the OT in a attempt to make the sequels seem good when they're not. They're absolutely terrible. That Rise of Skywalker is a really bad movie. Like, just from an objective writing standpoint, it's terrible. It's just a MacGuffin fetch quest movie the entire time. That's literally all it is. And in the end, it made absolutely no sense. I don't know how all these Jedi just somehow help Rey, but they never helped Luke. They never helped, what is this? Like, it's just made up nonsense. But again, guys, stop shilling, man. If I could just say one thing to these guys, like, just stop. Just stop. Just be yourself. Say what you really think. Stop lying to yourself and lying to people. It's corny, man. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. I just can't believe this is just way too funny for words. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Oh, boy. And please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Have yourselves a really good day.